major minor scales, and modes. If you're like me and most other players, that's how we learn scales in ascending order, and while that's not inherently wrong, there is something hiding there in plain sight that has some of the most interesting colors you can find in today's guitar music. In this lesson I want to show you what these scales are, how you can build and use them, and most importantly showcase a genre that has some of the most interesting guitar players of today. Let's go! The real magic here and at the end of the day lies in playing your basic pentatonic movements, but starting them in a way that they start spawning all these expressive interval combinations and colors. And the basic concept here is the same as with the modes. We're going to take our scale and flip the gravitation point around to unlock these intervals. Or in plain English, we're going to play the same patterns, but we're going to have different roots. So let's do a quick overview of how this actually works. If you think of my 5 fingers as the notes of the A minor pentatonic, we would have the notes A, C, D, E, and G, right? Now if we start from the root note A, we get an A minor pentatonic. Now if we start from the root note C, we get a C major pentatonic. That's as far as most people dive. But what about the 3 other notes? What happens if we declare those the root notes? That's basically the trick here, really, of unlocking these colors. Now on the guitar, you can approach this in various ways. For instance, if you grab your A major pentatonic in the 14th position, basically my index finger is in the 14th fret and I go here to the root note A. I would have to declare this, my root note. And if I play it against a single string, what I can do, for instance, is just shift every single of these notes onto the note A and I will get these shapes naturally. Let me demonstrate that for you. Now we started here with our major pentatonic. Next up, we have to make this note our root note and play the same pattern again, and voila, we get this one. The third note was here with my index finger on the B string. Now we shift this down here to the note A and we get the next one. Which is a very dark one, for instance. Now if I repeat the one with the next note, I get this. And now if I go back to the E string, I land in my A minor pentatonic. That's really the magic here. There are so many colors that are happening and you can just take the same pattern, for instance, and hopefully you can already hear what's really happening here. And the mode I want to highlight today is the second mode of the major pentatonic. And what we get is a scale that has a root note, a major second, a major fourth, perfect fifth, and minor seventh. And that on its own outlines a super beautiful 7 sus4 chord. I'm going to go into the chord possibilities in a second here, but right now I just want you to take a quick listen. How the scale is really flying. It doesn't have a third. And I can just play the same licks I usually play with my pentatonic. Can even throw in flat fives. If you have been watching my last videos, you know that I'm a big fan of combining stuff you already know into new colors, and especially always making sure that you build chords from scales and melodies from chords to break down these barriers, so to speak. So let's do the same with what we just discovered here. It's really plain and simple. I just have to make sure that I know where my roots are, in this case this beautiful triangle shape here, and where the frets around are inhabited by the pentatonic note. And basically I can just take notes now and pile them on top of that. This one here, for instance. One voicing I found which I really like, this one here on the side, or this one. This one basically being a D sus4 over A. This one being an E sus4 over A. And one thing you can do, for instance, is just to play a drum beat and try these colors out over it. Or E sus4 over A. chorus. D7 sus 4. So it's really a sus fest. Of course you could build triads. Or double steps. I want to quickly review how you can use sus chords in actual chord progressions, because they can perfectly function as their own sound, but they can be great bridges going into major or minor. Let's say I go from a minor, A minor, into an A sus 2, sus 4, and resolve it into a major chord. And the same thing applies to our pentatonic, consisting mostly of chord tones, right? So I can take my minor pentatonic, go into the suspended one, and resolve it into the major pentatonic. And suddenly I get 8 notes in a pool that will shift distinctively through the pentatonic. Let's take a listen. I'm just going to edit the chords we discovered here in the background, and as you will see here right now, anything goes really. Minor pentatonic. But I could also just easily play the major. Could even shift between them. Let's say I started in minor. Suspended. Let's next take a look at a genre using these heavily. And that's one of the most exciting genres I know. It's called Malay blues. We need the second mode of the A major pentatonic, which is basically an E minor pentatonic with the root note A below. Basically the first thing you can try is to just take this pentatonic box here and always pull off onto the open strings. And this in isolation doesn't really sound the same, because there's one important ingredient happening, which sounds like this. This movement here. One of the most fun things to do on the guitar. And basically, how it happens is the following. I play, let's say, 3rd fret on the B string, I hammer onto the 5th, or I play the 5th fret, and then very quickly 3, 5, 3, 0. And the way you can practice this as well is to just go up to the right side of the pentatonics, trill to the open string. That's one first thing you can try. It's a really great legato workout. Make sure to leverage this motion from your hand as well, to really have this nice percussive tone, so to speak. And the second thing you can try, for instance, is instead of just going up and down all the strings, you can go in a circle. Let's say I do this on the B string, and then I play the note B on the G again. Yes, we're going to double notes here, but you get this nice floating chorusy sound if you do that. And then finish it up by plugging the high E string. And I do that with my middle finger. I hope you can see it. And again, can do this on every string. put links to some of my favorite albums in this genre by some of my favorite artists into the description, and make sure just to check them out, listen to them, jam around a bit with this mode. And keep in mind that also the pentatonic has modes, that you can use the modes for sonic color, and the same way you can build chords from the minor pentatonic, you can do it from any of these modes. Now this was a bit of an advanced one. I hope it still helps you to get more creative on the guitar. And with that being said, Happy New Year, have a wonderful week, and see you soon.